Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I thought we'd create a card using one of my new releases. If you're not aware or you haven't seen the new release video, I've got a little Christmas release, but some of the elements can be used that for not Christmas. But I've got 5 A7 stamps and 2 snippet stencils, and you can see that on my new release video. So I'm going to create a little card with the new release, and I have a piece of Pink Frog Super Smooth card 300 GSM, and it's 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches, and we'll just go for something simple. So I'm just going to have a look. So I think we'll have that Celebrate the Season. So we'll use the Celebrate the Season, which is on TE19. And I love the fact that we've got the larger bauble and the smaller bauble, and then the stencil offers something even bigger. Let's just add these here. So I'm just going to stamp that in my black ink. And we'll just add that to our card. Now, don't want it all fit on. Now I'm just going to have it around about there, like so. So nothing exact. And on these, let me just lift these up. On the stamp sets TE18 and TE22, you've got the larger bauble. If we bring those in, can't pick them up. You've got the larger bauble. Mine's got all embossing powder on. You've got the larger bauble and then the smaller one. So it works beautiful having them in the different sizes for the different compositions. And you'll see my samples in my new release video. So we'll just place this one back. And I always move these out of the way because I know what I'm like, and I will stamp on the packaging because I'm good like that. So if we just lift this up, you can see we've got that Celebrate the Season. And then what I'm going to do is just grab, I haven't got anything out ready. No, wrong one. Tried to keep everything out of the way so that it wasn't too cluttered. I'm going to use Sand Dune, which I love it because it's a perfect colour if you want to colour over the top, and it's just pale. So I'm going to take the bauble from TE18, and I'm going to take the smallish one, but it's not too small that it doesn't make an impact, so it works beautifully. So I'm going to take the little bauble, and we're just going to use the pale colour. So I'll start with one quite sort of high up, and it doesn't matter, I just want a little bit of an impression. Let me just lift that up just so you can see it clearly there, but we'll lift that up. But we're going to colour over that so it's nice and pale. But if you were doing a vintage make, you could use that and keep this in this colour, so it'd be perfect. So let's just add another one, and I'll add that one a little bit further down, like so. And these are a silhouette stamp, so you could do the kissing technique where you stamp another stamp onto this, and it works beautifully. So we just add that one here, like so. So we've just got the 3 baubles there. Now, if you were doing that vintage make, isn't that a lovely colour just to do a vintage make with? But we're changing the colours. I actually need a piece of copier paper. Can't remember whether I did a little mask or not. I suppose I should really look. I can't remember whether I did a little mask. I don't think I did of this. So I'm just going to stamp this onto here. Now, I know for some of you, you might not want to make Christmas makes earlier in the year. I love doing them earlier in the year because then for me, there's just no rush. And then I have, funnily enough, I have December free because I don't have to rush doing anything. And I can do things like make tags. I can enjoy sort of wrapping special presents. And I don't feel rushed at all, which is what I really enjoy. So I like doing them earlier in the year. And I'll still make some, obviously, in December, but it doesn't feel rushed and stressed because I've already got my makes for the family. So it's quite nice. So let's just, there we go. Let me just cut, there we go. So I've got a little mask now, just out of copy of paper. And it's better to make it out of copy of paper because that way you don't get any ridge because it's completely flat. So I'm going to take the bauble again. And then I'm going to add one here, like so. And then I can't pick this up because it's good like that. And I can just add this mask over the top. And then I can add this way. Like so. There we go. And then one appears behind the other. And what I'm going to do is stand a little bird on there. We've even got our other stamps that give lots of options that you can add to. So we've got the mistletoe, we've got the poinsettia, and we've got the holly. So I'm going to use TE21 at some point. So we'll just leave the holly there at the moment because I just want to add some colour to the baubles. We'll obviously add our little lines, which we will do now. I think this pen works. And then we'll just add the little lines dangling from my sentiment. Now, if you were doing that vintage make, this would work quite well. So I just think it would be really good in a vintage make, that colour. It would work really nicely. So what I can do now is I can use my pencils. The hardest bit for me is deciding what colour I'm going to go with, but that's always the hardest decision for me. So I think we'll go quite traditional. And then where's my something really dark? I'll just add that dark colour there. Right. So what I'm going to do now is spend a little bit of time colouring. And I enjoy that. But it shows you how we can create a simple Christmas card. You could quite easily ink these with your ink pads in multiple colours. So you could quite easily, let me take the stamp again. Where's the stamp? Here it is. So you could quite easily take the portobello. Which colour first? Which colour first? No, we'll add the strawberry. So you could quite easily add your strawberry, add a little bit of portobello, and you can have that stamped with multicolours. So you can just remember that with your bauble. And that's what I love about these designs, because one, they don't date, two, they're versatile. So the other thing we can do, let me just let me just stamp off some of that moisture. The other thing you can do, and what I want you to do is find one of your older VersaFine Clair Nocturnes. So this is from September 2023. So so what you can do is, let's grab another A7 acrylic block. You can also do the kissing technique with them. So you need an ink pad that is not for the actual first stamping. So you ink, yes you do, you ink the stamp with an old VersaFine Clair. In other words, one that isn't as juicy maybe as like a brand new one. You then take your holly stamp and you can stamp that onto the stamp. Just remove that, and just to show there's some ink on there. And you can then press your stamp and I'll just lift this up just so that you can see I've now got stamps everywhere. And you've then got your holly stamped inside, which you could then, because it's whitish, you can colour that with your greens. But you need to make sure that you use a stamp pad that isn't too wet. You can also take your text stamps. So you can see I've dated this September 2023. Take that. You can then take your text stamp that I can't lift up for some reason, and then press your text on there. And just to prove there's some ink being removed, you can see the text on there. Then stamp your bauble. And you will see it's got some text inside your bauble. So you can do the kissing technique. So it's just, they're very versatile. And I knew that once I came and did this card that I would get sidetracked. But that's me all over. And the only reason I'm cleaning it, in case I want to go to a lighter colour, that's all. So I've now got my pencils. So I have Crimson Lake PC925. I have Crimson Red 924. And then just to add a little bit of darkness, I've got a Warm Grey PC1058. I've also got my white pencil as well. And then I'm just going to add some colour to the baubles, and yes, it'll take a little bit of time, so I can go straight over this because it's a pale colour, and that's just perfect. So I can just add a little bit of the scribbles, and it's nothing professional. You can see I'm just lightly scribbling that on. And if you don't like colouring, you can then use your ink pads and just add that double colour, so then you don't have to colour. But this just does add a little bit more depth and dimension. And I am not pressing on at all. So we'll do these three first. So then I'm going to go to my lighter colour, which is Crimson Red PC 924. These are my Prismacolors. And you're not really going to see much difference at the moment. There's no smoothness about that at all. It's just going around in a circular motion. It doesn't take anything at all. There we go. So we just lay those two colours. Oops, we then fling them across the desk like you do. We're then going to come in a little bit more. And we're just going to, you sort of fill in more of the spaces, and you just come in and you lay down another layer of that colour. And you can decide then if you want to come a little bit further in. And it's difficult because I lose myself when I'm colouring, and it's so easy to actually forget to speak. So we'll go around here. You see, now I'm not in December. It's not December the 24th, and I'm not making them last minute. I can't be doing with making things last minute. It's just not me. I know some of you love making things last minute because it's part of it for you. But then my stamps are not discontinued, so not a problem. So then we're going to go to the lighter colour and just fill in more of those gaps and go in to that darker colour. So go into the darker colour just so that you can blend the edges of that bauble. And I know I haven't done the top of the bauble yet. So we'll go in a little bit more now. I'll just add a little bit of detail just to the top. This is with the darkest colour. And then I'm going to come in with another layer of that colour. And what I noticed then is it starts to smooth out. The more you fill in those gaps in your card. So it starts to smooth out and you get that smooth appearance to your bauble. Yeah, now you don't have to leave the white gap like I'm doing. You can just place that back in with a white pen, and I go over it anyway with a white pen because that's me all over. So we'll go back to our lighter colour, and it's just about building those layers. And it really doesn't take much. We're going to use white to blend this out, but first of all we'll go to that darker colour. Doesn't matter what you use for your darker colour. I'm using a warm grey. It says 90% warm grey, PC 1058, and I'm just going to add a light touch of that 90% warm grey. Just a little touch, just to give that a little bit of darkness just towards that edge. It's not much. And then I'm just going to come in and just add my last layer of the dark colour, which is that Crimson Lake. And just blend those colours. Then I'm going to go with my Crimson Red. And obviously we want to blend the edges of our Crimson Red as well. And that's where my white comes in. So I'll start from the red and I'll just blend out a little bit of that red. And I'm purposely going over the white thing so you can see how much I'm dragging the colour out. I'll show you. So you can see how much with the white I've dragged that colour out, because that was white, and you can see, and then look at my pencil, it drags out that red and makes it sort of like a lighter version of what we've already got there. Now there's no point me trying to add the white back in whilst we've got this waxy layer. It needs to rest. So I'm dragging out the colour that's already there with my white and blending that out just to the edge. Just dragging that out to the edge. But you can see it goes from that to that, and you just get that beautiful blend. And obviously we will add some shading and things as well, and some more white. And just blend that out. And I'm sort of holding the pencil on its side. And just drag that out. Just lovely. I was going to wipe that off then on that card. That wouldn't have been a good idea, would it? We can let that rest, and then we can add some shading behind here, and we can also add our touches of white in. So let's do these baubles in exactly the same way. So just add our light layer first. And you can see how it goes from sort of just scribbling the light layer on to a beautiful blend. So just add a little bit of that scribbling on. It's not scribbling, it's just a circular motion, and it's just your base layer of pigment. Then go to the lighter colour, which was the 924, it's 924 and 925, and then add a little bit more of that, coming into your darker colour. So then we'll come back just to, let's add a little bit of the detail. There we go. So we can come back now and we'll add our second layer. And as you add the second layer, even with that second layer, you can see it's starting to smooth out before your eyes. But you just have to get into the habit of adding those layers and not sort of going in too firmly. So with your second colour, just blend that in to your darker colour, just so it's blended in. I can already see it just starts to look better. So then we'll go back to our third layer, and even though my hands are further down on the pencil, I'm not pressing too hard. I'm still filling in some of those areas. Let's come in and blend the edges. Just blend the edges. So go into your dark colour, and then we'll bring that grey in and just add a little touch of darkness, which really helps when you've got two baubles connected. Really helps just to add that little bit of darkness. Now I couldn't do that if I'd gone in too hard already with my pencils, but I can do that now. So we just blend the edge of that. There we go. And then to sort of make my lighter colour, we'll come in with our white. And it doesn't look like you're doing anything until you go over that white area, this area here. You can see just how much you're blending your bauble, and it automatically gives you that another shade. Couldn't live without the white. And you can actually use this white pencil to add the white back in. So this really blends the edges. Just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I absolutely love them. And you can just see how much it blends everything. It's just wonderful. Honestly, I could spend hours doing it. So now we're going to get our grey Inktense pencil, and we can add a little bit, that's definitely not my water brush, we can add a little bit of shading. Let's just check my brush, because I've been doing that many cards that you never know what's on there. So I just have to make sure that that brush is clean. So then I'm just going to add a little bit of shading underneath. Let's get some kitchen roll. So if your brush is a little too wet, you can use your kitchen roll. And just sort of blend that out to nothing. There we go. So we can add a bit of shading. Add a little bit of shading to the baubles. The actual moisture that will evaporate. So just taking the minute you feel you've got too much, you can just take that off. And I like my Christmas cards to feel special. Or even now, you've got a one layer card, easy to post if that's all that you wanted to add. Quite easy just to add that. So it's entirely up to you. I just want to add a little bit of shading under here, just under the sentiment. And I haven't wet my brush again, I've just kept what I've got. You can even add some dimension if you wish. It's entirely up to you what you want to add. So I'm then going to take the can't tell you what colour it is because I can't speak. Sand dune. Let me just make sure that's dry. And I'm going to pick up the sand dune. And I'm just going to test that on here, just in case it's got, no, it's fine, just in case it got quite a bit of the black on. So we're just going to take the sand dune, and then I'm going to add that here. Just lovely. And then we'll do exactly the same. Maybe add an extra. There we go. So we've got our little touch of colour there, just with the sand dune, so that we've got the holly just on there, which is just wonderful. Just love it. Nice, simple idea. And then I have got lime peel, PC1005. I've got no other colour out at the moment, which is handy. I'm just going to add a little bit of the lime peel, but I don't want this to be too dark. This is got a little bit more black on this side. So I'm just adding a little bit of green tinge. You don't even need to layer any more colour if you don't wish. Just adding a little bit of colour just to the holly. Let me just lift this up just so that you can see. It just looks lovely. Absolutely. Just love it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a little touch of white embossing. And a little touch of white embossing will just lift that a little bit. But obviously we've got areas that the embossing might stick. So we're just going to go over the baubles just with the anti-static bag. Just maybe over here a little bit, just in case it sticks where we don't want it to stick. And then we'll just get our Versamark stamp pad. And then we'll take our stamp. Now I'm going to give the stamp just a little bit of a clean, only because I'm going on to that Versamark stamp pad. And I don't want any ink or extra ink going onto my stamp pad. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Not that I need to worry, because I mean it's just so super clean, can't you see? So we're going to take my Versamark and then we'll just add a little bit of stamping, which for you can't see a thing, which is always really helpful. So we'll just sprinkle our embossing powder. Like so. I won't even tip that back yet, but I can see where I've added the stamping. Just beautiful. And I don't want my Christmas cards to be rushed. That's just me. We're all different. We all like different things. Now I know that's up there, so that's fine. And then I'm going to add a little bit white embossing here. Got that much stuff everywhere. Bring this copy of paper back in. A little bit there and there. There we go. And I've just flipped that just so that any bits maybe that I don't want don't stay on there. And we'll just grab our heat tool and heat that up. I just love this background stamp because it just adds just enough. So we'll just, now you could leave it like this quite easily. I mean, I'm not going to add too much because I just love the freshness of it. And we'll just emboss, keep that embossing up. And you'll see me tilt it mainly because it's so bright out, even though we've got quite a dull day, I can't actually see when the embossing goes. So I just have to tilt it a little bit, and it's easier if I lift that. go. And you can see it just gives, it's just lovely. It's not too overpowering. It's just wonderful. So like I've done in a card before, we're now going to, did I leave it out? No, of course I didn't. We're going to take our hickory smoke distress oxide ink and our little bit of water. We're just going to add a little bit of the grey just around, so just a little bit of the hickory smoke, and that just highlights the embossing a little bit more. It's just, and you're just going to add a little bit just around the baubles, and the actual Inktense pencil is darker than the hickory smoke. And I've not used any sort of watery ink around the bauble, so that's not going to bleed anyway. But where I add the oxide, let's pick up a little bit of water, my embossing, the white embossing, if there's any over the edge of the bauble, that will become more prominent. So just use your water just to drag that out. There we go. Just sort of around the baubles, and you don't have to add, goodness knows where my wipe is, you don't have to add too much of that. It's just a nice little touch without adding too much, and in real life you can really tell the difference. So I'm going to go to my stamps. We have that many stamps everywhere. Where are we? Do this one, just so we can grab the little bird from TE12. So the background stamp was TE11. Wrong one, Tracy. Oh no, that's right. So just grabbing the little bird stamp from TE12. We can take our little bauble off. So you've got a one-layered card you can post quite easily. So let me just, again, let's bring this scrap of paper in, because I normally do stamping in black, but let's just have a look at what it looks like. It does help if the stamp's stuck on the acrylic block. Do you see me then lift it off the acrylic block? That's because this is very well used. And now no, I'll tell you why I'm going to stamp him in black. Because we've got this sentiment here in the black, I'm going to stamp my little bird in black. Now, before you go to your project, make sure it's not going to fall off. Because you don't want your stamp to fall off onto your card. And how do I know that? Because it's happened to me many times. Just lovely. So we've now got our little birdie standing on there. Again, all the stamps work together, so the little birdie works beautifully, just beautifully. And we need to add our touches of white. Just check that your card has rested enough. So we'll just reiterate the white here. So do you remember we went over the white area here? You need to let it rest enough so that you can actually draw that in. The touches of white just make everything pop. Let's just use my Posca pen. This area hasn't had as much time to just relax a little bit before I add the white. So it needs a little bit more time just to relax. Let's just, you see, because I'm using it over that wax, I'm picking some wax up as well. There we go, just adding some touches of white, just so that you can see our card. And I love the white space and the freshness to the design, so it's just lovely. I just want to check before I carry on. I often take stamps. Now I've got, can you see this stamp here? The little berry stamp I've got here. You can have it standing upwards like that, or you can have it standing downwards like so. It's entirely up to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the mask here like so. I've also got one berry on its own. Oh, good grief. Because that makes it easier sometimes for us to add areas if we've got the one berry on its own. That berry can also be a bauble. So, which one am I going to use for a bit of darkness? Again, let's bring in our scrap piece of card and let's just, so that's my strawberry, and let's just add a little bit of the portobello. Just looks lovely. Let's just, so does the second generation, so does the third. Yes, it looks really nice. So, how many berries? Want it coming over there. So, do you like I'm talking to myself? Oh, I do it all the time. I need another mask. And can you see I'm still leaving white space? Let's place that little bird back. And we just need another mask. And look at that, just stamped in the strawberry. Just lovely. There we go. That's it. Oh, I've gone hot. Where's that fan? So we've got our other mask. So place that there. And you two can faff as much as me. So then I'm going to take my strawberry like so. I'm then going to add touches of portobello, and then I'm going to add, see, if you'd got any sense, I wouldn't have stamped the beard until the end, but there you go. You're going to lift your masks up. This is going to take me a bit of faffing. I'm then going to add a little bit of second generation. Like so. Just gorgeous. I just love it. So I just want one more. So let's place this down. You can tell when I'm enjoying myself because I just lose myself. So take the bauble again, the strawberry. This is not the bauble, this is berries, Tracy, but could quite easily be baubles. So then I'm going to add just there, like so. Let's take these off. Wonderful, just wonderful. I just love these stamps, that they just go so well together. They're just wonderful. And that's all I need on the card. Now, with the little, can you see I've given you a berry on its own, but you could quite easily add them as little baubles just from the top. There's just so many possibilities. I just love it. So we'll keep those masks somewhere because Tracy knows she's going to use them. We'll just wipe that red off. And I think that's it. Let's move that out of the way. And we can just add some more touches of white in. So we've stamped onto white, so that really helps. But I'm just going to add those white bits in, even though we've stamped onto white here, and you can see where the touches of white will go. There we go. Then we're just going to add some white splatters. I've got a thinner Posca pen here, and I don't think that's going to be enough. So let me use my bigger Posca pen. Just make sure you avoid your sentiment. That's celebrate the season, because you don't really want to add splatters to that, just so that you can see you've got a one layer card. There's no depth on there at all, so easy for posting if you wish, but I love the white space. Now, when I'm doing Christmas cards, I don't like to add a black mat. That's just me. So where's my copy of paper? I've got a 5 by 7 inch card blank, and I love the white on white for me. And we'll add an insert as well. So where's my adhesive? Just grab that adhesive, and we'll just stick this down. Of course, you would wait for all your Posca pen to dry, because it's far easier that way if you wait for it to dry. And it's only when you see it lift up, that's just because there's a little bit of bend in the card, because we've used the heat embossing, and we've got a little bit of moisture in there. So we just wait for that tonic glue just to grab hold, just to make sure it grabs hold. And I do like the white on white. So just so that you can see that the white on white just looks beautiful. I just absolutely love it. It's very classy. So shall we add an insert? Because I just think it'll look lovely with an insert. So you want a piece of card that measures the same as the front, which is 4.5 by 6.5. And I'm then going to take the sand dune. I'm doing really well with the colours. I'm going to take my sand dune, and you just want a suggestion of what's on the front cover on the inside. So I'm just going to place a little bauble just there. Just wipe my fingers. I'm going to take the sentiment again, celebrate the season. And we'll just stamp that in our black ink. Just put the glue on that adhesive. We'll just add this here. So just repeating the processes from the front of the card, and we'll just drop it. We'll just add this to there, and then we'll just take our colours once again, and we'll just add the dark colour. Do you know, it's actually got a little bit of the strawberry, and it actually looks lovely with the portobello and very tiny touches of the strawberry. It looks lovely. So just coming in, and we're just going to blend some of the colour just like we did before. And once you've done this a couple of times, you know what you're doing, and it just becomes second nature. Just remember, don't fill in and don't press too hard initially, or else you've got nowhere to go and it stops you from adding more layers. So we'll just add a little bit more. And I think it's lovely to add the insert to those Christmas cards. Just makes them look really professional. And we'll just take that little bit of the grey colour just to give a little bit of darkness. And just adding another layer. And then our light colour. So just the same processes as we did on the front of our card, but it looks like we've not scrimped on the work, because we've even done the same just for the inside of that card as well, so we don't look like we scrimped on anything. We'll then add a little bit of shading. I don't think there's any moisture on that. I just keep chucking everything to the far end of my desk. Just add a little bit of shading around there. Just pull it out to absolutely nothing. And really, I'm pushing my luck to try and add the white here. But we give it a go, don't we? So then we'll add a few splatters just to our card. And of course, you would let that dry before you add that to the insert, but we're going to do that anyway. So we've got our card, just beautiful. We can then lift this up, make sure it doesn't touch anything, and then we'll add our insert. The glue, I've just put the lid on. Add our insert. Like so. And then you've got the front of your card, and then when the recipient opens the card, they've got a lovely little insert as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed the step-by-steps, and I look forward to seeing your makes. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.